Stay tuned because I'm about to interview one of the great restaurateurs in the history of the world, Stephen Starr of Starr Restaurant Group. If you're on the East Coast, you definitely are familiar with him. If you're from the West Coast, you probably have been to a restaurant that has been influenced by him. I've known him a long time. We got a lot to chat about, so stay tuned, and you might learn how this guy who does around $400 million in revenue does it. So if you're in the restaurant game, definitely want to stay tuned to check out what he's got to say. Welcome to the Dave Chang Show, part of the Ringer Podcast Network, presented by Major Dome Media. Thank you, Yola Tango, as always. Sign up for our Discord channel. We have a lot going on there. Subscribe to all of our shows. This is our last episode in New York. We'll be back in Los Angeles soon enough. I mentioned at the top of the show, we got Stephen Starr. We're going to talk a lot about how his brain thinks, because it's a lot. And we have a long history together. And I've grown to really love and admire and appreciate everything he's done. I didn't at first, and we'll talk about that. And then we're going to do an Ask Dave. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we're going to have Stephen Starr in a little bit. Let me just sort of summarize it. Stephen Starr has a restaurant organization that grosses over $400 million. He's got, I don't know, close to 50 restaurants. I think mostly on the Eastern Seaboard. James Beard, best restaurateur, outstanding restaurateur. It's been in the game a long time. I've known him a very long time. And we'll talk about our relationship and how it's changed over the years. And a lot of things I just didn't know about him or were misunderstood. And now as I've gotten to know him, I just have immense respect for what he's done. Besides being a great restaurateur, besides being sort of a second to none ability in spotting and identifying talent. And he has been very good at that over the years. I've always viewed him as the New York Yankees to some degree, or some kind of organization that is huge, Leviathan-like, when we were the small little underdog Oakland A's. He doesn't think small. He never has. He never will. He was a former music promoter. And I think he took a lot of those lessons and he applied them to food and hospitality. He pretty much, with the exception of Michael Solomonov and a lot of independents and Mark Vetri, you take a lot of the great food in Philadelphia. I would say that he is, the sort of the man of Philadelphia in terms of the sheer variety and amount of restaurants. And since then, he's partnered with Keith McNally, the famous curmudgeon himself. Like, I don't even know how the hell that happened. We're going to talk about that. And a few others, right? And he's pretty much owning Washington, D.C. with St. Anselm's, the Diplomat. I think he's brought pastis down there. I think he's opening up in Nashville. He's got stuff in Miami, South Beach. And over the years, over 20 years, I've gotten to know him quite well. He is a good guy. He cares passionately about his business. And what he does not get enough credit for sure, besides being one of the great restaurateurs of our time, running one of the best organizations of our time, with a fucking world-class corporate organization. We need more people to take swings like Stephen Starr. And I admire that so much about him. Takes huge swings, new kinds of restaurants. A lot of my preconceived notions about Stephen were just, honestly, maybe jealousy or just misunderstandings in general. And as I've gotten to know him over the years, he's just a good person, runs a fantastic organization. And I think how he thinks is grand and big. And he's changed gastronomy here in America. There's no question about that. But the thing that I don't know if he gets enough credit for is the balls. That guy's got huge cojones to spend big on build outs, to make beautiful design restaurants that are huge with very, very good food. And he is constantly at work tinkering with the formula, matching talent with great spaces. And most recently, he's paired with Mark Latner to reopen Babbo in the West Village, Greenwich Village. He got Danny Bowen to also be the executive chef of Budokan. Um, yeah, there's a lot there, man. When he opened up Morimoto and Budokan, the West meat packing, um, I don't think I've ever seen concepts launch simultaneously uh, that were as big in scale. And uh, yeah, like, listen, he's on a short list. There's a whole host of younger generation that have a playbook that was written in large part because of Stephen Starr. So if you're listening to this, he's gonna drop a lot of knowledge bombs, and he's never afraid to speak his mind. That's for sure. But I've learned a lot from him. I'm so excited to have him on this podcast. So stay tuned. For those that don't know, this is the great Stephen Starr. He has got a huge profile in the New York Times. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love this guy because he's funny as fuck. And right before we got on, he's like, this is like a porn set. It's like being on Boogie Nights.
Yeah, I felt like I was watching Boogie Nights, but it may be really hard for me to perform in front of all these people watching me.
And we gave him the performance-enhancing drug of cold coffee. So I think he's going to be
I'm ready to go.
On the introduction, I was saying that I've known you a long time, and there is, people know you, but I'd say for all your success and for all the accolades, and even this New York Times article, I think it still sort of severely underrates as to the longevity, the amount of game-changing things you've offered to sort of the hospitality industry. But I think the thing that gets underrated the most is not your talent spotting, which we'll talk about, and your production skills, which I think have definitely carried over from music, which I want to ask you about because we've talked about it, but there's certainly how you view the production and creation of a restaurant that has always been singularly different than anyone else in food, because I think of your previous background. But the thing that I think that's underrated more than anything, and which what we need more of in this fucking goddamn food world, you got the biggest set of balls. You got fucking huge balls,
That's why you invited me to the porn, to this porn set.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to show big balls. And what I mean by that, clearly metaphorically speaking, which, is true. He has never shied away from opening up massively expensive build out restaurants with a certain point of view that maybe the New Yorkers didn't know. So 2005, as an example of your steel cojones, right? Like, New Yorkers didn't know what they wanted exactly. And there were all kinds of restaurants opening up 2004. You had Crew, you had Per Se, you had the whole Columbus Circle thing. But what people didn't know that they needed was these giant box restaurants that, might have only been seen in Las Vegas. But New Yorkers didn't have anything like that. Spice Market opened around the same time. And I just remember thinking, like, this guy's operating at a different level. And the one thing that I don't think, and Budokan, we'll talk about Danny Bowen in a bit, I just remember looking inside being like, what the fuck? This is I knew immediately, this is so expensive.
Right.
It is.
Crazy. It was $17 million.
Which at the time today probably would be like 30.
Yes.
We don't have a younger generation of restaurateurs willing to take these swings. And you bet it all on these restaurants.
Well, let me tell you, I like to take the credit for being this visionary. And there's a little bit of that. A lot of it was not being naive also. So I came into New York thinking I had to make a giant statement, which I did. And I had a vision for what this place should be. The term giant box restaurants drove me crazy when the critics started calling them that. I felt so bad that that's what I ended up being to certain people, mainly to the critics. So I came in thinking I had to do the biggest, boldest shock and awe that I possibly can to get the attention. Because people like yourself, honestly, and John George and Mario, they all knew me from Philly, but I was like the Philly guy, right? Sort of the B player, even though I was making a name for myself there. When I came into New York, I think the big guys, they didn't take me that seriously, and I wanted to be noticed. So I came in big, came in with an incredible design, and pretty stupid because I under budgeted what I thought it was going to cost. It ended up costing much more, and I didn't have the money. I didn't have $17 million. We had like 9. I went to when we found out it was going to cost all this money, we went to every Tom, Dick, and Harry rich guy we could find. I went to Ron Perlman, met with him, with this guy, that guy. No one wanted to get involved. And then finally, I just went back to one investor that I had. That's all I had, who came up with some more money, which still wasn't enough. So we winged it. We robbed Peter to pay Paul to pay whoever, and we did it. So I had big balls. I also was stupid, and I also knew that in order to get people to take me seriously, if I was going to go on Broadway, it had to be, Cats.
And it was.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
But that's what I think we need to celebrate more, quite frankly. And I think there's a dearth of that now because it's too expensive, not just in New York City, to take these big swings. Because, wow, that could sink your entire restaurant group.
It would have, because I signed personally for that loan and for the bank loans with that restaurant.
So you guaranteed, like I've done and a lot of other people have done,
yes,
as foolishly as humanly possible.
Stupid.
So dumb. Don't do this.
Don't never do that again. Never. No one should do that.
Truly, because you won't understand why you can't get a loan for a house or anything because you sacrifice everything for something.
But let me tell you something. Making my music connection, I could never do that again. I don't think many people could do that again. It's just like, I'm not equating myself with Bruce Springsteen, but there'll probably never be another Springsteen. All right. It was the time, the place, what was happening at that moment. I don't think it could happen again. It's too expensive. A Budokan today would be $30 million. Easy. And unless you're a billionaire, you have a dad that's a billionaire or something, it's dumb. You'll never make the money back. So
it's probably become a club today.
That it won't last that long. So I did it not having enough money. I did it knowing I had to make it work. I don't think anyone could do that again. I can't. Now we're still doing big restaurants, but landlords are kicking in money, big money.
But let's go back in time a little bit because before 2005, it's only now, which is probably got to be the craziest sign of the times because you've been doing this a long time and it's been happening since I've been doing it, which is not as long. That we were like the scum of the earth to landlords. They hated us.
Yes.
They did not want a restaurant.
Yes.
Because they thought we devalued the property.
Right, exactly.
Now
we make the property, we make the block, and in my case of the city I'm from, we kind of reinvent the city.
Yeah.
So it's different. We're still the lowest form on the food chain, though.
Well, yes.
Right.
It's much better to be the real estate owner.
Right.
That's the whole nother story. I think, again, if Stephen, without even talking to him about it, I was like, rule number 1, if you can buy the building first.
Yes. We've done that a couple times, but I wish we would have done that more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to make that point known because in a world where we are doing a lot of the same things and lowest hanging fruits and common denominators, which is nobody's fault because that's what works. It's been refreshing for 20 years plus, at least in New York City, because he's basically, with the exception of our good friends, the Vetris and the Solomonovs and all the next younger generation, which you clearly have helped usher, right? Because Philadelphia, I would say, is arguably the most exciting food city in America right now.
I think so.
It's got so much going on in every facet of food.
Yes. Because
one of the reasons it's not as punitive if you fuck up.
Yes. And you can live there reasonably.
Yeah.
And you could open a place, reasonably. It's not like here. Here, New York doesn't breed innovation because it's too expensive. You got to go somewhere that's a little more forgiving to try something new. So I think that's why Philadelphia is a great place.
Which is why you're still taking big swings, albeit not as levered as before, but still, like, dude, there's not one restaurant where you're not going like balls to the wall, risking a lot, right?
Yes.
And there's been, if anybody that's charted and followed your career as I do and everything that you do, it's every time you open up something, it's elevation of talent, right? Trying to get the best in class talent, best in class design, and not trying to open up the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, part of the blessing and curse of what I do is I do want to change things. I want everything to be different every time I open it. And then that's a curse because it's learning a whole new format of food, a new style of service. And you can't, like private equity guys want you to roll them out.
That was one thing. I feel like if I'm listening and if I'm entering and I'm thinking about becoming a restaurant group owner, it's like having a point of view is super important. And even though he's not the culinary creation of all the dishes, like it all sort of starts with your DNA in terms of what you want. And thinking big and bold is like your signature. And you see that in so many different kinds of restaurants and cuisines and innovation, right? I think you've opened up at the time, and still is probably the most innovative restaurant that you don't get enough credit for. What was the name of the restaurant where you could buy everything in there?
La Mercerie?
Yes.
Yes.
Where were all their articles written about that?
Yeah.
I mean, I've long held that that's going to be the way of the future for a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be the case where we're physical manifestations of marketing for everything else that's in there.
Absolutely.
I still think when we look backwards, that'll be like the genesis of a new kind of restaurant. I thought it was like, I was so pissed off at you that you did that.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
Because it was what I was thinking.
Yeah, we're going to do more things like that. We're working on a couple ideas. Dave, part of the reason that things are, that of what I do is because, when I went to school for film and television. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I never ended up doing it. I dabbled in it a little bit, had a production company that I formed with my professor, my film professor. When I was still in school, we formed a production company and set out to do basically music stuff, rock stuff back then. But all of this really is a manifestation of what I wanted to do in film and my musical background. Trying to do something. Each restaurant's a show, a movie, or an album. You don't want each album to sound alike. Right? We want to be different. So I always felt I have to do something totally different than what I did before. And that's really what motivated me in terms of the creative part of what I do.
For, again, those that don't want a history lesson or a comp, what you tried to do, as close as a comp as I think in terms of the insanity of 2005, was like, if you've ever watched The Heart of Darkness, I think that it's the documentary of Coppola's, his wife made it about Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm.
And how fucking insane it was and how levered he was. And it had to work. And you sort of have to make it work. And you made it work.
Yeah. Another movie is the one with Leonardo DiCaprio about Howard Hughes.
The Aviator.
The Aviator. I watched that movie and I got sick from it because it reminded me of myself, not with long fingernails in isolation.
But you're all in.
But that all in, spent another $20,000, spend it. Another 100,000. I just did this in Philadelphia with Borromini, with Keith designed it, Keith McNally. And it was a mural that's supposed to cost $12,000. It ended up costing $150,000. And I kept saying, okay. Even though the budget, we had already killed the budget already.
Have you ever made a restaurant that went under budget?
Never.
Never happens. Why is that the case?
It never happens. Because you know what? I always thought it was mean and I was irresponsible. But when I talk to developers, guys who build skyscrapers, they're all over budget. Everybody's over budget. Always.
What the fuck?
It's okay.
So again, your resolve to do huge, ambitious, quite frankly, insane projects that are all in. I love that. And as I learned that about you, I began to really admire you because we had way more similarities than differences. The second thing I wanted to talk about, again, is that background in film and music production. Because what is it? Because you still see something different than anybody else in the business. Mm-hmm. What did you learn in that sort of side career path?
Well, I went to school for film and, I learned about movies and making movies. And everything, every detail of a restaurant to me is a scene from a movie. It sounds corny, I know. But, I know Ian Schrager and Andre Balaz, and those guys were my heroes. The restaurateurs were not my heroes in my young years. It was Ian and Andre.
And what Ian did, Studio 54, and he was also really involved in a bunch of hotels.
Well, he was the godfather of a boutique hotel. He created the genre. So to me, to create a genre of anything is amazing. Keith McNally to me is not simply a great restaurateur. He's a master of pop culture. He changed pop culture in New York City. I mean, those are the people I emulate, right? That's when I opened the first restaurant. I was
Park.
no, it was Continental, and then
Oh, that's right.
and then Budokan Philly. I was thinking of Ian Schrager, not of Eric Ripert. It was Ian Schrager who was my the standard.
Continental.
The Continental was the little diner that I turned into a martini bar at a time when people didn't know what martinis were. They weren't drinking them back then. So really, it was film and music, which I loved, and then the people I looked up to like Ian and Andre.
And the Park was the big, giant one. That was like your first big one?
No, Park came later. Budokan was first in Philly. Then there were several others, Tangerine, the other restaurants in Philadelphia, Blue Angel, and Budokan in New York was before Park. Park came after.
Wow.
Park came after. Park is basically inspired by Keith. It's a French brasserie on the Park in Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia.
What were you trying to learn from Schrager, from people that were more designers of space
Yeah.
than restaurateurs? And why did you not want to learn too much from the peer group?
Because I'm going to be very honest with you.
I love it when you're honest.
I was not a foodie. I was a music guy. I was a rock and roll guy. I had long hair down to here. Way too late.
Can we get a photo of that? Can we put
I
it right here as a comp?
I can get it. Way too late. And so I wasn't a food guy, but I was a theatrical guy. So when I would walk into an Ian Schrager hotel, like the Delano, I walked in there and I lost my breath. I looked up. It was magical. It took me to a different place. It was sexy. It was just awesome. So when I was going to open my first restaurant, I knew the food, of course, was important, but what it felt like was even more important then, which is why probably I got criticized a little bit from the food community. But once I got into the food business, I immersed myself totally, and I was a maniac about consistency and about what the menus were. And to this day, I micromanage two things: lighting and the food.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I know you do because I've talked to all of your chefs you work with, and it's amazing how involved you are in everything. It's truly remarkable.
And the thing is, I can't cook, and I can't identify what you could identify in a dish. But what I do have, and I think chefs have said this to me, I have an incredible palate memory. So I remember what things are supposed to taste like. I can't tell you what's wrong with them, but I say this is not the same as it was 7 years ago when we had it.
I also think, besides your ability to recall, I think because it's always funny when you tally up all the reasons why, someone is way more successful than somebody else. It's all these other tertiary things. When in aggregate, it actually makes the difference between great and just good. And I learned this about your micromanaging, but I also learned this about your ability to think about food. But I think the fact that you weren't a food person is what makes it so fucking successful, because you're thinking about the most, not average audience. It's like, how do I reach as many people as possible? So doing that, like, as I always say, like making Indiana Jones, that's fucking hard to do. It's way harder than making some Blue Velvet movie.
Right.
That's amazing.
Right.
But like, that's sort of what most chefs do, is this small niche thing.
Right.
It takes a lot to do something where as many people possible can like. And I think that's what you're trying to do.
It is. And however, you know what? If I could have my fantasy, I would sell everything today and start all over and do lots of little ones. Like I have the opposite thing now.
Do you remember the conversation you had with me? I don't remember. Probably like 2006 or so. We'll get into how we got there, but maybe it was at a later date. And you're like, Dad, I don't know why you're opening all these fucking small restaurants.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do remember that.
And I'll never get, because we were just getting to know each other. And I was like, your kitchen's basically the same size as Budokan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, it's not. And then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, maybe a couple 100 feet less.
Yeah.
But you're serving maybe 150 people and I'm doing 1,500 people.
Right.
And I was like, fuck, you're right. What am I doing?
Right. But there's a sweet spot that I've learned. There are guys that have 48-seat restaurants in Brooklyn that spend $700,000 to open it, maybe $1 million, and they're making $500,000 a year profit. That's kind of smarter than what I do, spending $18 million to make 2 or 3. I don't know. I don't know who's smarter.
It's scale.
Yeah.
I think nothing's easy in the restaurant business, no matter what. If you are a caterer or if you're a cupcake shop owner or whatever, anything in food is fucking hard as shit.
Yeah.
But I think scale at your level and the complexity,
Yeah.
again, I liken it to being like, you're like Steven Spielberg type. You know what I mean? Like, these are monster, huge epics that you're trying to make.
So
Not for everybody.
Yeah. I like to make the epics, and then I like to do a couple of the art films too.
And that was the change over the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, you bought striped bass, right?
Yeah.
And then that was the first, like, I remember, like, really up and coming chef that was there. It was Chris Lee.
Chris Lee.
And he was in my class of food and wine. And I remember thinking, like, what's going on? Like, this guy's like, that's like, it's not matching up. Like,
yeah, it was a strange move. And Alfred Portelli was involved in that in the beginning. Alfred brought Chris in as his chef de cuisine. Yeah, that was my first dabbling into a smaller genre of restaurant.
And that's when I knew that there was, that moment in time actually was when Danny hired at 11 Mass Bar, Daniel Hum and Will Goodell. Like, across the board, restaurateurs such as yourself were like, oh, we got to up the food game now. Like, everything was getting elevated and the talent had to come with it. And then ever since then, you were always trying to match the best free agent or talent humanly possible.
Yep. It was like being a record company president, you know, Tommy Mottola or whoever, and getting the best talent, signing the best artists, or owning a sports team and hiring the best players.
And I know I've tried to express this to you, but like, and you know that I was so resentful and I was so angry at you for so fucking long because I felt like the Oakland A's and we had no budget and we maximized it. You know, we were 600 square feet. We did like $3.25 million that second year. It was fucking insane. We were just maxed to the capacity. And I could not comprehend how you had this money. But the funny thing is, I was maxed out. I was leveraged. I'm doing the same thing you were doing, just at a much smaller scale. I'm just as stressed out as you were. But I was like, fuck, I can't offer the opportunities and money and all the things that you were staffing with because, like, you were the Yankees to me. You were the Phillies. You were the Yankees to
So
me.
I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to tell you something. You said that to me years ago. There are a couple greatest compliments anyone's ever given me. One was that you're a great dad. That's the best, right? You said that to me years ago. It stuck with me. I told a couple of the people that run my company what you said. To this day, we use that line in all of our training. We quote you. We said, listen, we have a lot to live up to. David Chang once told me, you're the fucking Yankees. And I remembered it forever. And to this day, when I do something, you're like an inspiration to me. I know I gotta be, I can't, you say, why do you spend that extra money? Because we're the fucking Yankees. And I remember you telling me that. And 3 days ago, I watched with my son, The Babe with John Goodman about Babe Ruth. And I thought of you.
I'm so sorry.
I thought of you.
But like,
it's an awesome thing that you did.
And I meant it because it was me not understanding what I understand now. And I was like, I have so much respect for you and everyone in your organization because, like, those that are in this business, you got to understand, or not in this business, it's fucking impossible.
Yes.
Impossible. You have how many fucking restaurants now?
43.
Insanity. You're an
43.
insane person.
And you know what? I didn't have all that money. What happened, I didn't grow up with money. I ended up doing the first restaurant. I sold my concert business because I was in a music business to my competitor, Electric Factory Concerts. I had some money, so I opened that first place, the Continental. It was a martini bar that no one had done that before. They did it in New York. Swingers came out, the movie with Vince Vaughn, and boom, the whole martini thing happened. And then a friend of mine who was the tour accountant for Kiss, because I booked Kiss when I was a concert promoter, said, you know what? I'm in the venture business now, venture capital. Let me get some money for you. This thing's pretty cool. I went, okay. And we did Budokan Philly. And that was a big hit.
Huge hit.
And that's slow. And then we had to go to banks, and a lot of it was good luck.
Well,
Right.
again, anybody that's been super successful and they see someone else that says it's luck, it's like it's self-generated gravity there. You're creating a lot of your own luck. And for those that know you know that.
Hey, you were one of the 100 people, the most important people in Time magazine, buddy. I never got that.
Hey, listen, it could happen this year, man. I mean, it's true. Like, this is just the beginning stages for you. You're constantly iterating. And I mean, when I would say the Yankees, it was also because I was mad that I couldn't keep up, right, with the packages you were offering people. And in the Yankees fashion, it would be like, well, like they got Jason Giambi, they get all. And I was like, I was just jealous because you don't have to spend all the time nurturing because you can't. You're not opening those kinds of restaurants.
Right.
And it was just different levels of the food pyramid. And that's what I understand now.
Yeah. You know what, really, you and I should have done something.
Well, I know. And well, so.
And we may still.
We back in the day, this is really, really early on. There was a meeting at Budokan way, way back. And I was just like, I was scared. I was like, I don't even know what this is. Great. Lon was the chef there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're making like shumai to, like, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is an insane operation. You're doing 1,000+ covers. I was certainly curious. I was certainly flattered, but I also was like, this is not where I'm at right now.
Right.
And we had a cup of coffee, literally trying to figure out, that first year of the pandemic fucked everyone up. And we had a lot of conversations. I will just say, I learned more about your restaurant organization, and more than anything, I was just like, everyone's just trying to make it work, and everyone's doing the best they can. But I'll never say never. And the reason he's the New York Yankees is the Yankees still get the best fucking talent.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about it. Like, you want to talk about this American kid that you took from Paris?
Daniel Rose. Yeah.
And I always say kid because we're friends, but for those that know, if you visited Paris, this was the restaurant that everyone was trying to get into.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't understand how Spring was like, what is going on here?
Right.
Why are they going to this American chef
Right.
who understands French culture? What the fuck's going on?
Right. Yeah.
You are the only successful person I know that got him like to come over. I would say probably a couple dozen people have tried to get him over the years. And you were successful. And again, part of it is like you're able to execute on things that no one else can execute. And I was like, of course Stephen Starr got him.
Right. Well, I recognized his talent. I recognized maybe even more than his talent, the marketability he had in taking an American kid from Chicago who went to Paris back to America. I knew what a story that was. It was such a great story.
And Le Coucou, one of the most beautiful build-outs.
Yeah.
And what a great restaurant for that space in an area that not Tribeca, not, well,
Yeah.
it's like perfect.
Kind of a grungy area, which we wanted. We liked because there was nothing gritty about New York left. Everything was developed. And I, with Roman and Williams, the designers, said, let's find a place that's a little, can I say the F word? A little fucked up, right? A little area. So we found that. And
what I mean by fucked up, because it was neither here nor there. It's like, it didn't have like it wasn't easy to describe as to what it was.
Yeah. It was kind of, barren. It was a little barren, that block. It was a Holiday Inn. So we liked that vibe. And then Daniel and I got along really well. He did a tasting in New York. I was inspired to bring him, by the way, by the Anthony Bourdain show with Daniel Boulou going back to Lyon and him doing his classic old French dishes. So when Daniel came over and we met, we talked about maybe we shouldn't do Spring because Spring was innovative because it was it wasn't like French, but maybe we should do classic French, Lutèce. And I remember seeing that show And that inspired me, but the pig bladder and that whole thing and Daniel came and did the tasting, and he did that dish with the chicken inside the pig bladder.
Poulet invest.
Yeah. And he blew us away. His wife was there. It was awesome. And I just felt it. He felt it. And we did it. And actually, being the cornball that I am, I was trying to find a space on Broadway. So I could call him Broadway Danny Rose. But that didn't happen. And we ended up in Soho.
And, over the years, it was like, I know we were trying. And then like, you got Peter Serpico. And I was like, good for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I just resigned that, like, this is the Yankees and we are your farm system in a lot of ways. And I was like,
that's funny.
That's just the way the food chain is. It has to happen. Like, because the reason why is no one else is offering these opportunities or these kinds of scope projects because they're fucking huge, right? And for year after year, I'm not saying people don't offer these big projects, but like you're doing the blockbusters, man, you know? And everyone else is doing smaller indie films.
Yeah.
And now today you have actors that shuffle between all of that.
Well, part of it is because I'm not a chef and I can't cook. You being a chef, you feel that you could do it all yourself. I, not being a chef, know that I can't do it by myself. And if I just hire someone mediocre, I'm going to hit a wall there. So I do have to try and find, the best talent possible.
And I don't have to go name after name, whether it's Alex Lee, you got Danny Bowen now. It's been remarkable because you're getting not just brand name recognition, you're getting brand name recognition to like chefs, people that truly understand it. And a lot of people probably wouldn't think that way, so what are you looking for, right? Like, how are you identifying talent? Because not all of your talent is free agents. You're still developing homegrown talent as well. So like, what do you look for? And I think this is the most salient thing for anybody that's watching. And then they're like, hey, I admire Stephen Starr. I want to learn something. Like, talent evaluation from your perspective is something I've always wanted to ask. Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah. I think now, again, making that analogy to a record company, I'm looking for talent that's already established themselves maybe in a concept. For instance, I'm not doing this, but the guys in LA, Vinny and John, they have the pizza thing. I mean, they're awesome. I tried to get involved in that. When it first opened, I went there. I was blown away with the vibe, the energy, the line to get in. That's what I'm looking for. There's a guy, Cafe Spaghetti.
I don't know it.
But that's what it's called, I think, in Brooklyn. Anyway, great place. I talked to him once. I would love to take a guy like that or a woman that has something that they've established this concept. It's awesome. And they probably are going to have a hard time on their own growing it. And I would like to step in and being the record producer, the executive, help them grow that brand with my expertise, with the financing and so forth.
And I mean, sometimes you just go left of center and you still make it happen. Which is like, what? St. Anselm's, that whole team, like, you figured out how to get all shapes and sizes and restaurants.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary, diverse portfolio, right? And the thing that is fucking crazy to me, because clearly you can curse because I curse all the time. Like, if you're from the Washington, D.C. area, there's only one restaurant that I think over 10 years that people were like talking about, like, what the fuck? And more importantly, from being from that area, they absolutely hate people that are not born and bred in the DC, in the Nova, Washington metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you are, son of Philadelphia, coming down, open a restaurant called La Diplomat. And you turn that whole city upside down.
Yeah.
And it's still packed to the gills.
It's packed. It's like the most popular restaurant there. It's amazing.
People, I just was like, what is happening? And here's the thing. In some way, Le Diplomat is sort of like a Keith McNally restaurant. And then you get Keith McNally just, I'm like, what is going on here, man?
Yes. I don't know. When you say it that way, I'm
I don't even like Keith be like,
understand.
No, this guy's like cribbing for me. No, I'm going to join forces because this is going to be better than ever.
I took Keith to Le Diplomat and I figured he was going to like tell me to fuck off. And I'm an asshole. He looked at it. He said, this is amazing. You did a great job.
It's a beautiful restaurant.
So it was a compliment. I don't know. When you put it that way, It's really just like I just want to open cool stuff with the best people. It's not, the formula's not that
But you knew it.
complicated.
You were a little scared that Keith might be mad, right? Like,
Yeah, I was scared he was going to be mad
but
at me.
that's what, again, is a remarkable thing. It's not just identifying talent. It's like people that look under the hood of your organization are like, this is a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of like investing, you brought up like banks. It's like sometimes you invest as a venture. So it's like the inception of the idea, you're putting money in.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of companies that invest in later stage because they don't want to deal with the up and coming bullshit.
Yes, the startups.
And you are a later stage investor in businesses. So you're more private equity than you are venture.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't look at myself like that. I look at myself, I don't know how I look at myself. I just do what I do because I know how to do it. It's not,
but what is it? What is the secret sauce, man?
It's really identifying talent. Again, I go back to the music business. I managed bands back in the 80s. I promoted big shows. I knew the A&R guys. You go into a club and you see the next big thing. I remember Clive Davis coming into a show in Philly. There was a band I was involved with, and he went and hugged them and he signed them the next day. All this stuff is in my head. Like, that's why I love that show Vinyl. I remember it was on.
It was only for Seasons Great.
Like a Seasons Great. So all that record business stuff, spotting talent, or hearing a demo tape for the first time and just feeling it. I have that DNA. It's just there.
And you're always good at peering around the corner. And I think it's more murky and harder to sort of accurately judge where things are going.
You know who else I looked at? Again, another guy that I knew him years ago when I was in the music business. I watched his documentary. Is David Geffen, an amazing guy. He's a multi-billionaire. He spotted talent. He spotted Joni Mitchell. I don't know if it was Crosby, Stills, Nash, whatever. The spotting talent in their early stages, whether it's a chef or a band, is like a wonderful gift to have.
I don't view it as spotting talent from my perspective about you. I think you just know what's good.
Maybe that's it.
You know what I mean? You know what works. And again, like, listen, making a small independent film or a small independent restaurant is fucking hard. But it does not have the complexity of like a massive, like $250 million budget restaurant.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
No, that's true.
And I just think that's what you're able to do is, how do I process this idea of what is good to as many people that come into the restaurant? And I think you're probably best at class in that.
Thank you. I was in Paris. The chef, I can't pronounce his last name, Bruno.
Bruno from Verjus.
Yes. So I went to his restaurant.
2 Michelin stars. He's super hot.
In the top 5
or
whatever. I sat, talked to him. What a character. He told me about his background. His restaurant was nice. It was very bright lighting. And in me, I want to do something with him because I see it. I mean, you're right. I didn't spot the talent. His talent was already spotted. But I know that I could do something really remarkable, probably.
I get it. He's not miscast, but you're like, oh, we could join forces and take this to another level.
Absolutely. And I just thought of that right now. I haven't told him that. But
Bruno's gonna be like,
yes. But that's a great example of an untapped he's a tap talent, untapped money potential guy who can make money for himself, a lot of money, opening a restaurant maybe here or wherever in London. But that's one of a great example of what I do, what I can see.
Yeah, it's different. I mean,
and the other dinner, Heston,
of course,
that's another guy. I think he's the most brilliant guy, one of the most brilliant chefs ever. I ate there years ago. It was one of the best meals I've ever had, and he kind of never went beyond where he is.
Well, I think it's because
I don't know him, but
that food, I do know him. I don't think that translates outside of.
You don't think so?
Nobody wants to eat a little orange mince pie thing. I mean, the stories are so British. That doesn't mean
celery,
he can't cook everything.
That celery thing, it was like a piece of steak. It was like a steak.
I mean, you're talking one of the greatest chefs of all time.
I loved him.
He is right up there with the very best of all time. But so like, what are your concerns moving forward? Right? Like, how do you, like, what's next? Like, listen, we never need a fucking another pandemic, but like, how does this stay afloat, and how do you keep on growing, and how do you keep on pushing?
Well, I don't think, I mean, look, I'm going to keep growing, but I do believe at a certain point, not to ruin the moment, you probably need to exit. I'll need an exit, right? I've done it. It's time to sell the catalog, right? Springsteen sold his. I keep comparing myself to these guys.
Hey, listen.
Dylan sold his. Eventually you have to sell the catalog to make the money and take care of the kids and grandkids, right? That's what I'll have to do. I still want to do more. I do want to do smaller things though. I really do. It's not going to be for the money. It's going to be for the feeling, because I think I could do some really cool small stuff.
Well, I think this is where we'll end this. You're seeing this right now. We had Ladner on the podcast, and again, this is like a fucking another example. I mean, you got one of the best, most important chefs of his generation, probably not as well known, but anybody in the know is like, it's the fucking man.
Yeah.
And there's only one person that I would think of. If someone asks like, hey, I think even a journalist asked me, it's like, who could take over the Babo space? There's only one answer. It's the Starr Group.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you got him to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, what the fuck, man? You're like this Svengali, like, mastermind. What is happening? That's not the biggest restaurant. That's a small restaurant.
But I'm enjoying this because it's small. And it's going to be somewhere I would go, with my wife, just go and sit and have dinner. So I'm enjoying the process. In one way, it's harder. In another way, it's like having trained in high altitude. I come down this, I can do quick. But I'm enjoying it. And the food he's doing. I just had a pasta tasting the other day with Lydia Bastianich, and he just blew us away with the pastas. And I can't wait to open it.
Any other openings on the horizon?
No, we're doing more in Nashville. We opened Pastis in
I saw
Nashville.
that.
St. Anselm is going to be opening in Nashville. I love it there. You know who I met there? Bernie Taupin.
Elton John's songwriter.
And he like lives there part of the time. I kind of got friendly with him. I was like in awe of him, like sitting with Bernie Taupin. It was just amazing. So the music thing, I'm very...
Nashville music town.
It's great. Other than that, just a few little things. I think we're going to take a breather maybe for a while.
If you are younger, not in age, but you're just wanting to start out opening up your own restaurant, maybe opening a restaurant so you can get the talent scout himself, Stephen Starr, to take a gander, visit, and maybe you one day could work with Stephen. And that's what I mean. It is a partnership. It's not working for it. Listen, the history of what he's been able to do with a variety of chefs and restaurateurs, including Keith McNally, it's just like the proof is in the pudding here. Where would you tell them to open up a restaurant? Because I tell people all the time, New York would be great if you can get a cheap space. Nashville, getting very crowded already. Where else would you look at?
I would say I would still look in New York if you can get a cheap space. Nashville is crowded, but not that crowded. I'll tell you why. It's crowded with people, but the restaurant thing is still fairly virgin. You open something innovative and a little bit different, you can blow them away in Nashville. There's little places in Philly that are opening. A place, Cambodian, Laotian place called Mon.
Yes, he just won Best New Chef as well. Really
good. Like I go into a lot of these restaurants that you hear about, and they kind of like bullshit.
People, cannot speak more highly of. He just opened another restaurant, him and his wife.
Yeah, I can tell you from a guy who's cynical, and I go to all these places people tell me are great, and I go, same thing. This guy's good. It was really good, and so a guy like he could open in Nashville and blow him away. So I think Nashville, of course, Philly's still got room. Still got room in Philly. And I don't want them to come, but Washington. I mean, I think one of the reasons we did so well is that, and I hate to sound arrogant, the competition wasn't that great. So.
Hey, sound like Steinbrenner.
And I don't like beards. I want my chefs to be shaven.
Oh man.
And you and I, we have to do something in London. London is where I wanted to open a restaurant with Mr. Chang.
We really, there was a lot of conversations, and we have no idea. But listen, if I was going to work with anybody else, truly anybody else, there's only one person. And listen, when we were having conversations, I was like, the only person I would even remotely think about was you and your organization.
Good.
And who knows?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Did they hear this in London, right?
Yeah.
So if there are any real estate guys in London, landlords,
you get me out of retirement.
Big TI, David and I are ready.
Hey, if it happens, my wife would love moving to London.
Yeah, and your kid will have an accent.
Oh my God.
It'd be nice to have it. I told my daughter once, if you had an English accent, I would love you much more.
Hey, listen, the only person that get me out of retirement in the kitchen in Whites again would be probably you. God damn it.
All right. Done.
All right, man.
Thank you. Good to see you, buddy.
Today's Ask Dave is from Carl from Hokkaido, Japan, who is a Majordomo level 4. Carl's favorite dish to make is a meat pie, and Carl's bucket list meal is monk in Kyoto. Carl's question is, what is your position on Japanese restaurants refusing to take bookings for those who don't speak Japanese? Carl says that lots make excuses and say the menu's only in Japanese or the explanation of dishes is an important part, but Carl thinks it might just be lazy. Do you agree?
Carl, I'd love to know what kind of restaurant it is next time you're here. And honestly, when you're sending in these questions, send them in to Ask Dave at Majordomo Media. For Hokkaido, for those that don't know, is the northern island. There's many islands in Japan, but it's the most major northern island in Japan. Most famous, known for its miso ramen and its very, very, very snowy winters and Niseko and skiing, but also some of the most fertile soil around for fruits and vegetables and rice growing, etc. It's just because of the mineral in the soil, it just is a bounty of agriculture up there. But it's not as populated as other parts of Japan. So I wanted to live there for a long time. I don't know if I want to live there now, but visiting is fun. But Carl mentions also Monk, which is the pizzeria in Kyoto, which is fantastic. But to get to his question about Japanese restaurants not serving people or getting reservations to people that don't speak the language, I get it. I don't think it's lazy. I understand why. To have a negative response to somebody in the hospitality, not even hospitality industry, usually try to do it in a backdoor way. You never want to, in my experience, be brutally honest as you might be in America. That is why I believe that there's restaurants that would choose not to serve people that don't speak Nihongo, Japanese. That's one layer of seeing it. I think the next layer is, I think a lot of people that are visitors are really loud. I'm one of the loudest individuals around, but when I'm in Japan, I really do tone it down quite a bit. And I think that it can be a disturbance to a lot of restaurants. And I do know, again, I can't remember the Japanese name for clubs, invitation-only restaurants. I can never remember that fucking name. A lot of it is not about your wealth or your status in Japanese society. But again, if you're a good eater, and part of being a good eater is having the manners and knowing the protocol of not being disturbing and being respectful, being on time, eating everything, et cetera, et cetera. These are all rules effectively because they don't want to tell people we don't like you. I don't take it as ill will either. I just think that's the custom, right? And you can see this with a lot of these top restaurants in Japan that are not accepting reservations at all. All right? Invitation only is way more aggressive, in my opinion. It has more to do with the cultural aspects of being a foreigner. Anyway, thank you, Carl. thanks for that submission. Keep on sending them in. I don't know if I've answered that correctly. Anyway, give us 5 stars. Thank you to Stephen Starr. Good to be back at the Ringer Studios. Not back, first time ever at the Ringer Studios here at World Trade. Yeah, talk to you guys soon.